Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to today's show. And today I'm going to be talking about when things are not changing. Hi, Manjari. Good to have you live. So, um, so I'm sure we all have these things in our lives which quote unquote are not changing and they just seem to be stuck in the same place. Let me know if you have things like that in your life, right? And so most of the time what ends up happening is that we kind of look at those things and we say, these things are never ever going to change, it's always going to remain the same, and I'm stuck with this forevermore, right? So let me know if that's what occurs with you, okay? And so today I'm going to kind of share with you a few thoughts around this. And I'm not really saying that, what I'm saying is the truth or whatever. It's just my point of view, and see if that kind of creates more expansion for you. Hi, Shirika. Hi, Sherry. Hi, Susan. Hi, Neha. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Malika. Good to have you all watching live. For those of you who are on Facebook, sometimes I don't see your name, so you will have to go in the description and give permission to StreamYard so that I can know who you are. Hi, Zishan. Good to have all of you live with me. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just put your awareness on one area of your life which you think is not changing. It can be any one area of your life, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to kind of look at things in a different way here, okay? And so this thing that is so-called unchangeable in your life, okay? So the first thing what I would say to you is that this thing is not changing is a judgment, right? It's a point of view you have looked at it and you have decided that it's not changing, right? And in most cases what happens is that we have decided that change has to show up in a particular way, and change has to show up in a specified amount of time, right? The number of people who kind of uh, like maybe they sign up with some program with me or whatever, and then they will tell me after a few days that people are getting all these changes and I'm not getting any change. Okay, now here's the thing, the change will show up in whatever way it will show up. So let me say this again, the change will show up in whatever way it will show up. In fact, the change is showing up in exactly the way that it requires to show up. It's just that you are not able to see it. You are not able to acknowledge it as that change. Okay, on the face of it, nothing might seem to have changed for you. Things might be the same. Okay, but you don't know where the change is occurring. And sometimes the change is invisible, it's not visible to you at all. But some aspect of your life, some aspect of your body, some aspect of your business, whatever it is changing. Okay, and probably that thing had to change first in order for you to get the change that you are asking for. Okay, so think of it like, things stacked upon each other, right? So you cannot you cannot say that this thing has to change, because you don't really know what's underneath it, what's holding that in place. So unless you handle everything that is holding that in place, the change will not occur in this particular thing. Like, for example, I might be working on someone, and that person has some health issues going on, right? And I will be working on that one person, and maybe there are two people who have exactly the same health condition, right? And one person, that thing starts to change really quickly, whereas the other person, quote unquote, does not seem to change at all, right? But in that other person, who in whose case the change is not visible, the change is not tangible, it's probably that change is occurring in some way, somewhere. The precursor to the change that they are asking for is occurring in some way, somewhere. Okay. From my working with hundreds and thousands of people, literally, I've been working with hundreds and thousands of people. And, with this capacity that I have to see the energy fields of people, no one person is the same as another person, right? Because every person is different, every person is unique, and what every person has in their past is very, very different. And when I'm talking about the past, I'm actually talking about the past lives. I'm not just talking to you about this lifetime. Okay, so the kind of things that you have gone through in your other lives, the kind of things that you have put in place in your other lives. And by things I mean all kinds of things, like oaths and vows, and maybe there are curses and all kinds of interesting things. So in one person's case, that person's health issue might be arising from something that has occurred in a few of their other lives, whereas for another person, their health issue might be originating in this lifetime. So it might be originating due to a little accident that they had in this lifetime. And so if it's originating in this lifetime, and if it's a really recent thing, it's much more easier to create change there, rather than a person who's had a lot of baggage coming from some other lifetimes. So in that case, you have to look at that baggage, you have to clear that baggage, and you have to get to the root cause of things that is causing the baggage, right? Now, so that's one part of it. You don't really know what's in the past. Okay. The second thing I would ask you to consider is that every kind of change is possible. Everything can be changed. There is nothing that cannot be changed. However, the only reason that you have decided that this is not changing is because you have decided that, this thing has to change in this amount of time, right? So for example, the biggest thing that most people are looking to change is their monetary reality, is money, right? And so they go like, okay, I'd like to have this kind of change in my monetary reality, I would like to have this kind of money in my monetary reality, and I'd like to have it by this date, right? And then, they are really attached to it, and they are like, it has to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then, something is going to happen to me or whatever. But literally, it's that energy of desperation, right? And so, when you keep looking at things in desperation, when you're looking at things that, it has to, happen like this, and if it doesn't happen, then I'm damned for all eternity or whatever. So you are kind of, setting yourself up for failure. You're already setting yourself up for failure. You are, your expectations and your attachment to the result, okay, those are setting you up for failure, okay. And then also the thing that you have decided that it has to show up in this specific period of time, okay. And here's the thing, when you ask for something, the universe rearranges itself to give you whatever you are asking for, okay. So maybe you're asking to move into a new home, and so maybe the universe, your new home is being constructed, right? And so it requires that time, during which the construction of your new home will take place. And once it's ready for you to move in, that's when, you are able to get it, right? And sometimes that could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be anything like this. And, I had read the story in Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life, where, she wanted to move to a new city, and she was asking for a new home, and it took her about 8 months to get a new home because her home was being constructed. And I remember reading that, and I was like really, amused by it. Like literally, I was amused by it until the same thing happened with me, right? So we were looking for a new home, and then, all we did was kept talking about it. Oh, we should move. We need a bigger home now. We need another bedroom. Our kids are growing up and all of that. And then, we never really did anything about it, right? And then one fine day, one of my friends, she called me up and she said, hey, we haven't met for a really long time. Do you want to come hang out with me? I want to go, look at some homes because I would like to shift. And I said to her, yeah, absolutely, I would love to. And I remember, we were driving to the community, and the community was about half an hour away from the city, and I had always lived in the city, right? And so I remember thinking while driving, this woman is nuts. Why is she looking for a home so far away from the city, right? So we ended up coming to the community, and we looked at 2-3 homes, and none of us really liked those homes. So I kind of just joked with the realtor, and I said, do you have apartments, and do you have apartments which have 3 bedrooms? And the realtor said, yes, I do. And then I asked her, what's the rent? And she gave me a rent which was exactly what our budget was, right? And so we ended up going, we went into this apartment, and the moment I stepped into this apartment, my whole energy expanded out, right? It just expanded out, and I just felt so happy to be there. It was like the apartment was like welcoming me. And then as I went through the apartment, I looked through it, and I found things in the apartment that I didn't even know that I was looking for. Like, I remember the biggest thing was that the balcony was really humongous. The old apartment that I used to live in had like a really teeny tiny balcony. And this balcony was so huge. I was like, wow, I love this. And then it had a tiny utility room, and my apartment didn't have a utility room. So that was like, wow, and I was so happy about it. And this was a brand new building. And we were the first people to rent out this apartment. So literally this apartment was being constructed for us. And then I had this thing in my head saying that, but it's too far away from the city. And so the next day I went home and I told my husband, we need to go look for a home. We need to go find something because we really need to move now. And I remember we spent about 2 to 3 hours looking for apartments, and we both didn't like any of the apartments that we looked at. Like the ones that we liked, they were, way beyond our budget. And the ones that were in our budget were really crappy. I just didn't like them. And so I remember, as we were walking down the road and we were standing at a signal to cross the road. And I remember thinking, I'd like to find a home with total ease. And so I kind of hear this voice in my head going, but you already found it. And I was like, yeah, wait a minute. I actually did find that home, right? And I'm like, I have a point of view that it's too far away and blah, 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 blah. And then I opened up this conversation with my husband and my family that I found this great place, but it's out of the city. And, and like everyone just loved it when we came here. And now we've been in this apartment for almost 9 years now. So that's the thing, the time, right? If you bind what you are asking for with time, then you are setting yourself up for failure, because you have decided that the change has to occur in this time. But if you did not bind it with time, if you just kept asking for whatever it is that you would like to have and you did not attach time to it, then would you ever fail? Like, it could then show up in 5 seconds or 5 minutes or 5 months or 5 years or even 50 years, but it would show up. Like, really, I'd like you to kind of look at your life. And I'm asking you to look at your life from a perspective of all the things that you have ever asked for, right? And have you noticed many times things actually show up when you give up on them? You've kind of, you're like, okay, never mind, I don't want this anymore. And notice that the moment you say that I don't want this anymore, then that thing exactly shows up, right? And I'm talking to you from this place of, every year on New Year's Eve, I used to write a list of my targets for the year. Like many years ago, I read Shakti Gawain's book, Creative Visualization. And I, got into this habit of writing down my targets for the year on the New Year's Eve. And I would write down all my targets, and I would always, playfully challenge myself to write down 100 targets, right? So I would, divide the targets into 8 categories. And I don't exactly remember those 8 categories off the top of my head, but it was something like, money, business or career, relationships, future, creativity, inspiration and personal growth, and things like that. So you can just go create your own categories. One of the good ways of looking at categories is you could go and find the Feng Shui Bagua map, and there are 8 quadrants of the Bagua. So each quadrant can be a category, and you can have those 8 categories. And what you start doing is you just start writing down things that you would like to have, and just don't bind yourself with this reality. Like, say for example, you can look at your money situation or whatever, and you could say, okay, based on the money I have, I can only afford an apartment which is this size. No, don't be bound by that. Rather, just just write down whatever it is that you would truly like to have. Just write down everything, and normally I recommend people that you set a timer of about 1 hour or 2 hours, and in this time just sit and write down those 100 things, right? And maybe you'll not be able to get to 100, maybe you'll only be able to get to 10. That's okay. For the next few days, every single day, sit and write down some of the things that you can come up with, and keep pushing yourself to write down the things that you would like to have, that you would like to create, and things like that. And once you're done with it, I would say just put it away and forget about it. And the number of people with whom I have shared this, and they've come back to me and they said, you remember that time when we sat and wrote down all those things? I found that book recently, and I looked through the list, and I have 70% of everything that I wrote down. See, that's the magic, writing down things, and letting go of attachments. Because, you write it down, you keep it somewhere, and you just forget about it. And then what happens is that you will discover that book sometime in the future. Maybe it's 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, maybe it's even 3 years. What does it matter? But what you will find is that 70% of the things that you've written down there will actually show up. And I've tested it with so many people, right? So again, coming back to when things are not changing. So things are not changing is a judgment, and the judgment is because of the time you have allotted to it, that it has to show up in this time. Okay. And so when you let go of that thing about time, then you just keep asking for that thing to show up, and it will show up whenever it will show up, whenever the whole universe rearranges itself, everything, and it shows up. The other thing is that you might have some points of views which stop you from receiving that thing. Okay. And so it's always a great idea to keep releasing all the points of views that you have, so that you can receive whatever it is that you are asking for. Okay. So let me know in the comments, how's this landing for you? And I know I'm not really going the way you think I should be going, but hey, like I said, this is just my point of view. Okay. So let me know in the comments what's kind of opening up for you, what's closing down. Are you having aha moments, or are you like, no, this is not the way to go, or whatever? But let's begin from this space that, things are not changing is a judgment. Okay. And so when you function from things are not changing, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, your point of view creates your reality. So if you are saying that things are not changing, what it means is that, whatever you have been asking for, and, whatever energy and whatever momentum got created from that energy, it's like that whole momentum which is there. The moment you go that this is not showing up, or this is not changing, what you do is you shut it down. So you've destroyed that entire momentum of the thing, right? So let's do some release around the judgments, the points of views. Okay. So when I talk about release, I use something called as energetic releases. And so let's start that. So Sherry says, I have a hard time believing it. So you have a hard time believing what, Sherry? Can you tell me exactly so that I understand what you're saying? Okay. So all the points of views, all the judgments that you have, that things are not changing, let's release that. Okay. Okay, so all the points of views that you have, that nothing seems to be working and that this thing is never ever going to change, let's release on that. So all the expectations that you have about how the change has to occur, and when the change has to occur, let's release on that. So all the attachments you have to the things that you would like to have, let's release on that. So I'm going to look at what Sherry says, that things will change and I'll have a different sense of money, that I'll be able to clear all blocks in my life. Okay. So, um, when you ask for, this level of change, when you ask for a level of change which is like everything has to change, then you have to be willing to receive it in the way that it is going to show up. And sometimes the way it shows up is not really comfortable, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, so so everywhere where you find it difficult to believe that things will change, let's release on that. Everywhere you find it difficult to believe that you'll have a different sense of money, let's release on that. And everywhere you find it difficult to believe that you'll be able to clear all the blocks in your life, let's release on that. So I need facilitation with letting go or going back to my old job or finding a new one. And I feel like this isn't progressing. So, what is it that is not changing, Angela? Can you tell me specifically what is not changing? This is a difficult moment for me and my family. I'd like to know if something will change in positive. And I'm talking about job, first of all, for my daughter. So, been doing it for a long time. So I wonder how many layers there are. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes, there are many, many layers. Like, there will be that one thing which seems to be unchangeable. The thing is that, again, if you did not allot a time frame to it, then what would occur? Would you ever fail? You would keep throwing at that target, and at some point that change is going to occur. Okay, so everywhere where you are attached to the results, let's release on that. So someone says change is not fast enough, so let's release on that. So do you guys realize that everything that you are writing here, those are just points of views that you have. Those are just judgments that you have, okay? And so, if you have that point of view, you are going to create that. So the most important thing for you, and it's great that you are writing these points of views here, so the most important thing is that you take that point of view that you've written it and use whatever tool that you have to release that point of view. And sometimes you might have to release it few times, and sometimes you might have to release it a few 100 times, right? Before you can release that point of view. And so once you release that point of view, once you release that judgment, what occurs is that you are no longer defined by that judgment. And in many cases, it is that judgment only which is stopping the change from showing up. Okay? So I'm going to take everything that you guys have written down. I'm going to take a few things and I'm going to release on that. And basically, what I am releasing on is judgments. What I am releasing on is the points of views that you have. Okay? So, I've been working on this for many years and it seems like I'm in the same place that I started. So let's release on that point of view. Now, there's another aspect to the situation, okay? There's this aspect of inspired action as well, right? And so the inspired action is this, right? So you have been working using energetic tools, you've been doing all kinds of things. And then, what happens is that there comes a time where You have to take inspired action. Okay? And you don't take that inspired action. So it's like this, you have a bowl of fruit in front of you. You have a sharp knife beside you to cut that fruit. Okay? But what you do have to do is to pick up that knife and cut the fruit. So everything within you and outside of you that stops you from taking inspired action, let's release on that. I don't see big changes unlike other people who have experienced big results. So let's release on that as well. That's another point of view, that's another judgment. So you mean we have to see problems under the perspectives much more positive and without prejudices or wrong judgments? No, I don't mean that at all. Okay. So if you do have judgments, if you do have points of views, and you are trying to push yourself to think positive, can that occur? No, it's absolutely not going to occur. But what you can do is that all the points of views that you have, all the judgments that you have, if you take those judgments and you use whatever tool that you have and you start releasing those judgments, you start deleting those points of views, then what happens is when that point of view goes away, you will experience the freedom. And you may have many different layers of judgments or points of views attached to it. Okay. Now, I can really perceive the energy of everyone, and it's like, this thing of, oh my god, this thing is not working, and why is it not working for me, and it has to work for me. And I can sense that energy is very strong. So I'd like to give you a little exercise for you to do. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Think about that one thing that you would like to change. Okay. And take a pen and paper and write down that thing that you would like to change. Okay. And or whatever you would like. So if you're asking for more clients, then write down how many clients you would like to have. Or if you're asking for more money, write down the amount of money you would like to have, or whatever it is. Okay. And now what you do is write down, I can't have this because. And then just write down whatever comes up in your head. I can't have this because, and write down whatever comes up in your head. Write down at least 5, and if you can write 10 or even 15, that's fabulous. Because here we are looking for all the things that are actually stopping you. So I want to go back to my old job, but I know it hurts me, and I want a new job, but it doesn't come. Okay, so let's release on that. I'm just going to read a few things that people have written, and I'm just going to keep releasing on that. And I want you guys to do that pen and paper exercise that I asked you to do. I can't have this because. Okay, so I want to go back to my old job, but I know it hurts me, and I want a new job, but it doesn't come. Let's release on that. Yes, me too. Not seeing any big change in my life. Let's release on that. Can you release on from where will I pay my bills? Let's release on that. Losing hope while change is still in process. Let's release on that. Waiting for change to happen, but when it changes, I become uncomfortable. Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely. How many of you can relate to that? You know, you wait for the change to occur, but when the change occurs, it's very uncomfortable. Okay, cool. So now, you know what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to look at things in one way, okay? And here's what I want you to look at. Okay, um, you know, say for example, there is this one thing that you would like to change. Okay, and then you do some work on it, and then it seems to change a little bit, and then after some time, you know, it comes back. Okay, and then you do some more work and it goes away, and then it comes back. Okay, so what if, you know, it was not like you're not going back to what it was? What if it was just different layers of it coming up? So the way I look at it is that, oh, you know, I've been asking to change this. Okay, and now I did some work and I found a level of balance with this. Okay, and then I might remain in that level of balance for some time, and then what occurs is that then you will hit a deeper layer of your crap. You know, you will hit a deeper layer of your stuff. Okay, and it seems to be like, you know, you have gone back to what it was. So, you know, that thing when you talk, which you feel like I take one step forward and two step backwards, you know, it might apply to you exactly there, right? but it's not. It's actually another layer of that stuff that you have hit. And instead of, going to a point of view of, oh, this thing has come up again, and why does it keep coming, and why do I have to suffer through it? What if you were to look at it as your treasure, right? And the treasure is this, that look, this thing is showing up in my life because there is some stuff there which I am not willing to release, I'm not willing to let go. So it's showing up for me to find that stuff that I need to release and let it go, right? And start releasing on that. Okay, so all those things, how did you guys write down? I can't have this because, and if all you keep writing there, I can't have this because I've been asking for it for so long and it's not showing up. I can't have this because it's been years and years and years where I've been working on it and it just doesn't change. I can't have this because this thing, I don't think it's ever going to change. Even if you write down things like that, please do write down things like that, because those are your exact points of views, those are your exact judgments about that thing. Okay, and then take each one of those and release on it. You can use whatever tool that you use. You can use interesting point of view, you can use pod and poc, you can use the energetic release. For those of you who've been in some program with me or the other, you know what the energetic release is. You can use that and you can start releasing on that. And that one thing, you might have you might have to do it like maybe 10 times, you might have to do it like 100 times, you might have to do it even 1,000 times, but keep doing it till that thing releases. Okay, and once that point of view releases, then work like you can work on all the points of views together, but you might have to do it many, many, many times before those points of views actually vanish, before those points of views are no longer there. And what I mean by no longer there is that before you no longer have those points of views anymore. And the thing is, when those are exactly the points of views that are keeping that thing in place for you, that are keeping that thing which is not changing in place for you, right? And so as you keep releasing on that, what will happen is that you will start to see the change. Now, the change may not exactly occur the way you think it's going to occur, right? So you might be asking to change your money situation, and then suddenly you will find that you have more ease in your relationship with your kids. Okay, so maybe there was something in that relationship which was impacting your money situation. So it starts to change in that way. Okay, but here's the thing, it's, if you've had something going on in your life for a really long time, then you really have to put in some effort in order to change it. Like, I was talking to someone the other day and she said, I attended your 21-day program and nothing has changed. I said, what do you mean? She said, I had high blood pressure, I had this, I had this, I had this, and none of this has changed. So I asked her, how old are you? And she said, I'm 75. I said, how long have you had these conditions? She said, 3 years. So I said, well, you've had it for 3 years, and even before that, you were creating those conditions in your body, right? So do you think that, you're willing to let it all go in 21 days? So that's my question to you, right? We have these, weird expectations in our head, right? Because if you have created something, if it has been there in your life for a really long time, then it's going to take a little bit of time to uncreate it. But here's the thing, you have to keep working on it. You have to keep releasing on it. Because the only reason why that thing is not showing up in your life is because you have something underneath it which is keeping you from receiving it. Like many times, I will use these words: everything within you and outside of you that stops you from having this, right? So just do this one exercise. If you do this every single day for one ask that you have, like take any one ask and start doing it every single day. I can't have this because, write down whatever comes up for you. Take each one of those things that you wrote down and start releasing on it, start using your tools on it to change it, and do it every single day. And then you might say, well, how long do I have to do it before it changes? So you do it till it changes, right? And it might take you 5 days to change it, it might take you 30 days to change it, it might take you a year to change it. But the thing is, you are doing something to change it. And at the same time, start noticing what other things in your life start to change. Because when you are so focused on changing one thing, you actually miss out the other more subtle things that are changing in your life. Maybe you will start to have more energy. Maybe your body starts to feel to be more relaxed. Maybe you start to sleep better at night. you know those are some of the other changes which are showing up. But because you are so focused on my money situation has to change, and this has to change, and I need to have these many clients and this much money coming in, you are so focused on it that you actually miss the other more subtle changes that are actually showing up. Okay, so the change will show up in whatever way it will show up. So are you willing to receive it? So one of the ways in which we cut off our receiving is by saying, I'm willing to receive change in this way and not in this way. So that question, I can't have this because, what it does is it starts to show you all the different ways in which you have stopped your own receiving, all the different things that you are blocking yourself from receiving, right? So I know this is like a really really heavy topic, and I can like perceive that energy of heaviness. So I'm just going to do a little bit of release so that you all get more ease with that. Okay, so what does change mean to you? Let's release on that. So what have you misidentified and misapplied change as that it isn't? Let's release on that. And what have you misidentified and misapplied as not change, which it is? So let's release on that. Um, and what change has occurred that you are not acknowledging? Let's release on that as well. Okay, so I'd like to leave you with two things. Number one, make a list of those 100 things. Remember what I was talking about? 100 asks. Make a list of 100 asks. And I know many of you have been following me for many years, and I've spoken about this before. And so, even if you've done it before, I'd like you to take today and make a list of those 100 things. Okay, make a list of 100 things, and like start with 10 and keep adding to it every day, few more, few more, few more. Okay, and then once you reach your 100, put it away somewhere and forget about it, and don't look at it until you find it one fine day, and that day might be 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, maybe it's a few years down the line. But when you find it, you will find that a lot of those things have actually showed up. That's number one. And number two is, whatever it is that you're asking for, that you would like to have, start doing this exercise with it every day. I can't have this because, and then write down the things and then just release on it. For those of you who are in my programs and you have my, clear anything 1 minute audio, you can use that and you can go through each one of those. And every person who's written any comments on this stream, which even if I may not have picked it up to do the release on it, you take your comment as a point of view, as just a point of view that you have, as a judgment that you have, and you can re-listen to this and like take that point of view and release on it as I go through the releases. And you can keep doing it till there is no more charge on whatever you have written there, and you will start to see that you have more ease with this. Now, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And like always, if you have anything that you would like me to talk about, let me know in the comments below. And I also want to invite you to the 5 days of money releases, which are starting from tomorrow. So for 5 days, every single day, I will be doing money releases. And you are welcome to join me if you like. So thank you so much, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye.